Hi, everyone. I'm Sydney, the host of Metabolism Diaries, a podcast where we share real stories from people on GLP-1s and insights from doctors who support them. Today's guest is someone I'm really excited to have on the show, Shannon. I first met Shannon at a TikTok shop event when I was working at L'Oreal as a video producer, and we were both at the TikTok offices in New York City. And she immediately stood out to me. She was just radiating confidence. And when we started talking, she told me that she recently lost 85 pounds on a GLP-1. And so obviously I knew in that moment that I had to have her on the podcast. And today she's here to share her experience, what she's learned, and the advice she wishes she had earlier on. Shannon, welcome to the Metabolism Diaries. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Just want to start by saying what stood out to me so much was how I say you walked in the room and you were so confident and you just had this radiation about you. And then you told me about your GLP-1 journey. Was there a moment when you decided, okay, I'm going to try a GLP-1?
There was. And it was while I was on TikTok listening to women who had just started it. Manjaro came out in the summer of 2022. I started hearing them in September. So they had been on it for about 2 months and they were talking about losing 20 pounds, some even more in just 2 months. And I'm like, wow. And they're talking about how they're not even doing crazy exercise or anything that is unattainable for me. At that time, I was 220, very out of shape. And just, I couldn't go hard on the gym.
Yeah.
So that really had me this might be something that could work for me. You just take a medication and you lose weight. It seems too good to be true, but they're talking about it and they're all reporting very good results.
Yeah. And so you were 220 pounds when you started your GLP-1 journey. And how much weight, if you're okay sharing, have you lost today?
85 pounds.
Congratulations. That is amazing. For those who, they haven't started a GLP-1 and they're thinking about it, can you explain a bit about this new life?
The new life is amazing. And that's probably why you notice the confidence. I think that confidence came midway through my journey when I was probably halfway through my weight loss. At that point, I finally found something that worked. It didn't just work temporarily and then the weight came back on. It was working and staying off. With that came learning more about who I was. I didn't realize I was a binge eater. I had no idea I was a binge eater. But now that I wasn't binge eating, that's one thing the medication gave me that I was missing in my body was that signal to turn off the hunger. Like I already ate enough. I don't need any more from this meal. So that is one thing now in this new life that I have better control of is just recognizing my limits of when I've had enough food, and recognizing when I'm fixated on the food. That was another thing I didn't realize I had. I didn't even know there was a thing called food noise.
Yeah.
But I would sit there and plan things based around what was around food-wise, restaurant, what was around the area, or get excited for an event because of the food they were serving. Like this fixation on food when I wasn't even hungry. This new life, you don't have that when you're still on the medication. I'm still on the medication. It's something I hopefully can be on lifelong, but it's a new life of not centered around food.
Yeah, definitely. And that is amazing. It can be like all consuming. And also for those who don't know, I know from, your TikTok, you are a mom, a nurse, and a TikTok shop content creator. Can you tell people a bit about what your day-to-day life looks like?
Sure. So I'm a nurse. So actually I am a hospice nurse.
Wow.
And I manage triage operations for our hospice company. So my shift is 5 p.m. to 8:30 a.m. It's an on-call shift, but it's very active. So my day starts at 5 p.m. for work and I work from home and I'm done at 8:30 in the morning. I do get to cat nap during my shift when it's quiet, but we don't like to use the Q word in the nursing field because it's never really quiet, even when it's quiet. And then I have 2 kids. One is off at college. She's a sophomore in college. Sierra's 20. And then my son is a sophomore in high school. And then I have the TikTok content creating. I have my main page, which is more about, over 40 beauty, style, and that kind of content. And then I have another page where it's about, I love thrifting. It's something I've always loved to do. And with like the increasing demands on money from these children and their tuition needs, I found myself needing a car. So I leased a new Bronco and said, wouldn't it be cool if I could resell what I thrift to pay for the Bronco? So my other page is all about thrifting and reselling to pay for the Bronco. During the day, out sometimes thrifting and making content for that page as well. So it's
Yeah. You're
day and
busy.
night, day and night.
Literally day and night. When do you even sleep? Wow. I know from my mom and a lot of people, and I don't like hearing this, but I am too old to wear X. And I feel like that's something that you don't embody. You wear what you want when you want. And I've seen that on your page. What would you say to someone who's struggling with that? Like, I am too old to wear mini skirt or my arms don't look good. What would you say to them?
Think if you feel comfortable in it, you wear it.
Yeah.
I actually had a different shirt on earlier. And I was like, wow, this makes me look bigger, like bigger than I really am, much heavier. And I'm like, I don't even mind that anymore because I know I'm not bigger underneath those clothes, but it gave me a very wide appearance. So I was like, maybe it was actually a shirt under this. I was like, I'm just going to take that off. But I only did it just so it was a little bit more aesthetically pleasing on a camera. But
Yeah.
personally, I was fine looking a little larger in this outfit. And that is a place that you come to when you finally come from a place where you were. I mean, I always was insecure. Always. I would ask my best friend, please don't post that photo of me. Please don't post. I set the settings on my Facebook that no one can just post photos of me, that I have to approve them first. And most of the photos didn't go on my Facebook when I was in a larger body. I didn't want to look at myself. I didn't want to look at myself. So when you come from that place to finally having respect for yourself and love for yourself, you wear what you want to wear because it feels nice. It feels good. I don't care how, I mean, I'm going to be 46 years old next month and I will put on anything I want because
Yeah.
I'm also going to be 46 and I don't care anymore. I don't care what people think anymore. I care about what I think.
That's so great. And so, how long have you been on a GLP?
This month is 3 years.
3 years. And can you tell people when you first decided you were going to get on one, what were the first steps that you took? Did your primary care doctor prescribe it to you, or what did that look like?
Yep, I made an appointment with my doctor after seeing it on TikTok and sat down with my doctor. And it was beyond just losing weight. I had other health things going on. For years, my liver enzymes would spike up. I had a fatty liver infiltrates. My fasting blood sugar was getting higher. My A1C was getting higher. I was insulin resistant, never had regular menstrual cycles. So I was suspecting possible PCOS at the same time. Hypertension for most of my adult life and was at that point on 2 blood pressure medications, still running elevated,
Yeah.
compared to the new standards. So there was so much medical stuff happening that at that time that this medication came out as a diabetic medication that was also helping people lose weight, improve PCOS. And that was kind of the gist of it in those first couple months. There wasn't much more about it out there. Now we hear so much more of medically what this medication can help with. So when I had the conversation with my doctor, she was very familiar with Ozempic, but not familiar with Monjaro. So she's like, I think it's a great thing. Let's do some labs and let's get you started. So she went through and, your doctor has to jump through hoops with those prior authorizations for insurance coverage. And having
Yeah.
access to these medications is difficult for a lot of people because you want insurance to cover it, but a lot of them don't want to cover it. So you have to work extra hard and your doctor has to work extra hard.
Completely. And did your insurance cover it from the beginning?
I was very lucky. My husband works for Union, so we have wonderful medical benefits. And so, yes, after the prior authorization was approved, my insurance covered the medication. I had to pay $25 a month, and that's what I've been paying since.
It's great. Something I've noticed, and especially on social media, is how many people are not getting covered for this medication right now who need it and how it's so expensive. And so hearing that people are covered is, such a great thing. And you were just speaking a little bit about your lab results. Can you tell people, like, what do your lab results look like today? Are a lot of those things, I assume, corrected from the weight loss?
So the labs were done a year later. and everything was in a normal range. My A1C had come down. My fasting blood sugar was in the 70s. It was originally around, I think, 118. And my liver enzymes are fine. My kidney function's fine. All my labs look great. I was really impressed by how quick it all changed. And then the blood pressure medications as well. I got rid of a whole pill altogether, and now I'm only taking half of the other.
That is amazing. And I think, something I hear a lot on social is like, people just taking these drugs to look skinny and to be thin, but it's more than that for a lot of people, right? It is, to be healthy as well. And then the whole other side of it is not only do your lab results look great, it's the confidence that you gain and I would say like almost like a rebirth of life, I've seen people have. You can't put a value on that. That's really beautiful. So, and now I know side effects. Can you talk to me a little bit about have you had any side effects and what has that looked like for you?
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. There has been side effects since the very beginning. The first 4 months were my hardest, and there was times where I was on my knees in front of that toilet with uncontrollable vomiting, wondering, do I quit? Do I stop? I'm losing weight, but this is not the way to lose weight. I don't think my body likes this medication. I think I might need to stop. And then you'll have a week or two where you don't have any side effects. And you're like, well, it was definitely, something I ate. And you're trying to figure out. And when I did it, there was the community here who had been on it a few months. But other than that, there wasn't any resources. My doctor didn't have a whole lot to offer me only because she didn't know either that, it was the sugars and the fats hanging around in my belly too long. I wasn't getting the protein in or the hydration in. So all those things were contributing to the nausea and even some of the injection sites, I think can change how you feel week to week. So there was a lot of trial and error. So yeah, I definitely had fatigue and still get fatigue around shot day. I get very tired. Um, and sometimes not so much anymore. I used to get, we call it the med headache, just a headache around shot day. But I think the biggest side effects were the headache, the tiredness, and the stomach upset.
Would you go through that all again to be where you are today?
Absolutely. Absolutely. My my daughter started the medication and she had a bad day and it started. And she's like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
And I just was coaxing her like, I understand completely. Trust me, you're gonna find what works for you and you'll find ways to manage it better. It's trial and error. Stick with it. And she did, and she's glad she did as well.
Yeah. And what are the foods that you've learned everybody's different, of course, but are big no-nos for you?
Well, quantity, first of all, you have to listen. And your body tells you, like, I'm full, I don't need any more. And most times you don't want to put any more in. But when you can, after you've been on the medication so long, it becomes a little easier to continue to eat. So you really have to stay on top of the signals that your body's giving you. So quantity is definitely a big factor in it because your body is slow to digest it. So it hangs around in your belly longer. So you don't want to put too much in there because you might still have stuff in there from another meal. And also for me, I have to watch around the 48 hours around shot day, like the shot day and like the next 2 days after that, fatty foods, even healthy fats, just fatty foods and sugars. They tend to hang in my belly. They give me the sulfur burps. And usually when that happens, the nausea and vomiting come with it.
And are you taking any medications to counteract those side effects?
I do. I feel when I have a sulfur burp, I already run for my digestive enzymes and my Pepto-Bismol. That those 2 together have been my savior when it comes to managing the stomach upset. And they really I try to get it early. If I don't get it early, I used to do Zofran and try to hold off, like stop the vomiting. I learned it's better just if it's going to happen, let it happen. Or you spend hours feeling sick because the
Yeah.
Zofran helps a bit, but you don't feel well. So it's just better to sometimes get sick and be done and over with it and try to avoid what you think triggered it, next
Yeah.
time.
And can you share if you're comfortable, what dose are you on and what dose kind of was your highest? And was that dose when you felt the most side effects or what did that look like?
So dosing for me was different than it is probably for people nowadays because when I started, there was such a shortage. So, and my doctor, like many of the other doctors, were prescribing based on the clinical trial data, which was every 4 weeks you go up to the next dose. There was no hanging at the same dose for months and months because you're losing weight. They were following the trial data because it was so new. It had just been on the market when I started, 5 months max. It came out in June. So I 2.5 was okay. Once I went to 5 is when I really noticed the sickness starting. And then 7.5, I was never on 7.5 milligrams of Mounjaro because it was unavailable. So I jumped from 5 to 10, hung
Okay.
around 10 for a little while longer. Like that, I didn't jump up so quick. I think because I was still getting sick and everything. Um, and I probably within 6 months of starting the medication, I was at the max dose. I think I was by April at 15 milligrams. And that's where I've been since. And I'll be honest, I would be fine dropping down to a lower milligram, but I'm afraid to play the insurance game because if you
Yeah.
switch doses, you have to get another prior authorization. And I don't want to pull any attention to my case because I'm afraid they're going to kick me off the medication.
Yeah. And do you take it weekly now or every other week?
Mostly weekly. I mean, there's days where I definitely miss shot day. In fact, last week I didn't take it at all. I had kept forgetting. I'm very neurodivergent. So sometimes, especially with my schedule with work and life, one day is just like the next is just like the next. And I don't realize it's Thursday and Monday was shot day and I forgot to take my shot. So I skipped last week altogether, which normally I don't do. Sometimes I'm a day or two late with it, but for the most part, I still take it weekly.
And what shot location have you found is best for you? I know some people say stomach, some people say thigh. What has given you the least amount of side effects?
Least amount for me was my thighs. I would only do my thighs those first 4 months when I was learning and dealing with all the nausea, vomiting. Stomach and arms, I start incorporating in definitely between 4 and 6 months of being on the medication. And now I rotate all my sites. It's very important to rotate the sites so the receptors don't become flooded. And you just get better results from the medication as far as getting the effects, the full when you're eating and you know, noise, food noise being, turned off. So I just rotate them all now.
And are you taking any supplements? I'm sure you're eating a lot less. And how are you getting in your nutrients?
So yeah, so the hair, skin, and nail supplements have been huge. I mean, I was just cleaning out my drain after my shower and I'm in a shedding pattern again, which happens because again, I forget sometimes and I'm not always intentional about getting that protein in. So I have to really be better with getting my protein in every day. That's, may be different for everyone else. For me, it's 100 grams. So I can very easily come well along, like half of that. I think I had 30 grams of protein yesterday, total all day. It's
Yeah.
way off the mark for me. So I do try to use protein shake and even adding in, I use a collagen peptide in my coffee in the morning, which is 10 grams of protein. So at least that's 10 and I don't even realize it. So that's 10 I get in each day. So yeah, I do protein supplements and then the hair, skin, and nail supplements to help.
What does eating look like now for you? Is it just smaller meals throughout the days?
I eat when I'm hungry, and that's usually better for me for my stomach because the food hangs around longer and it's no set. Some weeks it's almost like, did I even take my medication this week? Because I'm hungry, food's moving through me quicker. And before the Monjaro, I had gallbladder surgery after one of my pregnancies. So
Mm,
for years dealt with like IBS symptoms, was always one to always be running to a bathroom. The Monjaro has given me back a lot of peace of mind that I am more regular because it
yeah,
slows things down. So sometimes, some weeks I'm running to the bathroom a lot and I'm like, geez, like, is the medicine even in me this week? So it really depends week by week, day by day. When I'm hungry, I eat. When I'm not hungry, I won't eat, which is why I a lot of times fall short of hitting my protein goal.
makes sense. And are you working out at all or taking long walks?
I do have a gym membership. I haven't been using it. I need to. I really do. One thing I tell people who come behind me is you must tone. Even if you don't do cardio and all of that, you
Yeah.
need to tone because everything is going to get loose. The skin here, the skin in your thighs, the skin under your butt, just everything all in here, everything gets loose.
Yeah.
when you have any kind of significant weight loss, you want to sort of be combating, especially quick weight loss, that laxity and everything by toning. So I have not been good with that. But I should. I need to get back. I just have no time. That's another thing is I have
Very
no
busy.
time or I'm tired. And some of my days I'm like a zombie. So the last thing I want to do is go work out.
Yeah. And has your relationship changed at all with your husband?
It has. I feel more confident. So
Yeah.
I think, well, beside the busy part, but it's no longer my insecurities that hold me back from intimacy and, you know, being close, with him. I don't worry about, oh, he touched my fat, because he touched my side or, oh, is he going to see like that roll right there? Because the roles I have now are me and I finally accept me. And it took losing the 85 pounds, and I'm not perfect. I still have little rolls and stuff in places, but I accept them now. I'm not trying to change them. I'm not seeking perfection. So
Yeah.
I'm fine with them. That's what makes me me. So I'm closer with him, I think, in that way.
It's really nice. And can you tell us a little bit, what does shopping look like now in your new body? How was that experience for you?
So what you don't spend on food, you're going to want to spend on clothes. Where I used to be eating out and all of those things, you'll see that you spend your money in a different area. So it is so nice to walk into any store and be able to put pretty much anything on. You may not love it, but you can put it on. You can wear it. And that is such a nice thing. You don't have to go look at things, but go on the website and order your larger size because they don't carry the larger size in the store. So it's a beautiful thing.
And do you have friends who are also on this or not really?
I do have friends on this. Well, a friend of mine just started Zepbound recently, and I have other friends that are taking the semaglutide peptide
Okay.
because they saw all of the weight I lost and they don't have access to it through their prescription plan. So
Okay.
they're going the peptide course and taking semaglutide that way, um, so that they can have, I guess that similar result.
Yeah. And what, for someone who's just starting out on their GLP-1 journey, what would be like your one big piece of advice to them?
My biggest advice to them, you need a community. You need a community, whether it's friends, whether it is TikTok. I had TikTok. I think it is hard to navigate something that changes week by week. You change week by week. How you feel changes week by week. And the doctor is just unaccessible accessible.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not talking to your doctor every day. So you're not feeling good or you don't know what this is, what you're feeling. You almost need to have someone to talk to. It's great if they have GLP-1 experience themselves, but if not, you still want to talk to someone because it's a lot. There's a lot of mental things you go through
Yeah.
on the journey.
And so you found your people who were like posting on TikTok about their GLP-1 journeys and you've connected with them there.
Yes, I did. And it's a shame that over the years, TikTok has become so strict about talking about weight loss that I had a whole TikTok page full of videos, updates, advice, things that are working. It was a whole diary of my journey that I had to remove because of the community guide standards that the community guidelines that came out. I think it was May of maybe 24. So I removed everything. We all did. We just did this huge like Watergate. We got rid of all of our GLP-1 stuff because it was not allowed.
Yeah.
Since then, people have started talking about it again, and there's definitely more out there. We're very careful, though, what we say. You won't. Some people still do their injection on TikTok, which is very risky. They use the brand name words, which is risky. A lot of us use like MJ or Sema. We talk in code. We talk about potatoes instead of pound, just so that it doesn't get either suppressed from the FYP or altogether. People woke up and their counts were gone. I
Yeah.
mean, they were completely gone.
If you could go back and talk to yourself before starting this journey, what would you say to your former self?
I would definitely tell myself, do not get discouraged and do not compare yourself to others. I was a slower loser than these people I was watching on TikTok.
Yeah.
I think it was 40 pounds I lost the first year, where maybe closer to between 40 and 60, where these people were losing 100 pounds in 9 months, 10 months. So I kept thinking, well, maybe I'm eating too much, and I really wasn't. There was times I wasn't eating enough. So do not compare yourself to anyone else and just stick with it. It is a journey and not a race.
How, I assume you said your daughter's on a GLP-1, but maybe not your husband and your son. How have family meals looked since starting one? Is it harder for them because you're eating less, or how has that relationship changed?
So my husband's actually on Monjaro as well because he is diabetic. So my poor son, he's a football player too. So he needs all of the food. So I tend to cook smaller amounts, and we don't have the leftovers, and we don't even have the same food choices. Foods tend to be, we definitely eat cleaner. Processed foods are harder for your body to break down, so they hang around longer. So we don't do a whole amount of processed foods at dinner.
Yeah.
Dinner is, it's usually when we do come together, it's usually meats and salads and vegetables.
And then my last question is, what was your favorite food before a GLP-1 and what is your favorite food now being on a GLP-1?
That's so funny. So my daughter and I've had this discussion. Not that it was a favorite food. I loved just sweet junk food. I loved Oreo cookies and the Hostess cakes with like the cream in the middle, and the tasty cakes, which is a Philly thing where we, another processed cake. And you eat them, and I love them. They were the things that I could eat 2 packages of, 3 packages of, and not realize that was binge eating. I have a half a package now, and I don't want any more because it tastes like chemicals. It doesn't taste good. It's different now. Before, I couldn't get enough of it. I want all the double stuff, the mega stuff Oreo cookies because they're so good. I eat them now and I'm like, I don't really like them. I don't like them at all. They just taste very chemical. So that's changed, huge change, because I would rather skip dinner and just eat those things. And now I'd rather have dinner.
That's really nice. Well, thank you for sharing that. I feel like a lot of people can, I'm sure, resonate with that and wanting to eat like a whole a whole bunch of Oreos and then feeling, nauseous. And it's, of course, much better to eat dinner. So thank you. Any last words that you want to share before we close out?
I think if you're thinking about starting a journey, go talk to your doctor. Go, because it is a process. It's not so simple just to get a prescription and go home. There is an insurance. The struggles that I went through physically with the medication were only 50% of the battle. The other half of the battle is your insurance.
Yeah.
And I had good insurance that covered these medications, but they still make it difficult. Definitely would advise someone to go talk to their doctor if they're thinking about starting it and get the process going.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. And again, from the moment that I met you at the event, you were just glowing with, positivity and confidence. And it really stood out to me. So I'm very happy for you and congratulations.
Thanks, Sydney. It was so nice meeting you. I mean, this was great.
I hope you loved today's episode with Shannon as much as I did. Her story is such a powerful reminder that you are not alone on this journey. You can follow Shannon on TikTok at nurse.mom.shannon for more of her insights and real-life GLP-1 content. And if this episode resonated with you, please don't forget to subscribe to Metabolism Diaries and share it with a friend who might be looking for support or community around GLP-1. Thanks so much for listening, and I'll see you on the next episode.